housekeeping. And now, well, our topic is opportunities. I like this word, opportunities for cooperation between the university or language centers and corporate world. So I would like first to ask you about your background, about what you do and why you are here. So just briefly, because we will develop that later. Lucka, I will start you, so the lady first.
A little bit of the background. So, as was already mentioned, so I work as the first line manager in the team of French and Italian speakers. We provide the technical support. And if I should speak about my background, I joined IBM in 2013. I started on the first level position, and it was just after my graduation on Masaryk University. I studied French translation, and I'm using actively this language inside of IBM as well.
So your studies were not related to...
But, I do not have IT background. I did not graduate in IT.
That's important to hear also, that IT firms can attract other fields as well. Yeah, okay.
Like Lucka, I started in 2013. We both started first level. Obvious, you can see I'm not 18 anymore, so I had some track record behind. I'm a graphics designer from trade, and sometimes life takes switches or junctions where you take a direction, which is, there is an opportunity, as you so nice said. So I came in IT by accident, but that was many years ago. I was partnering in an IT company as the only non-technical guy, so I put the entire household in place, like HR and so on. That was in a period even before internet, so I started working with BBSs, which was new, but I learned from autodidact actually the IT thing. In 2013, when my contract ended with UPC in Holland, I had a choice to take an unemployment benefit or take another opportunity. So, due to a colleague who worked with IBM, who was still very enthusiastic, he said, "You with your languages, you can do a nice contribution in CIC Brno." So, I applied for a job and started working here for a nice salary, half of my unemployment benefit, but I was proud that I had a job. So, and from there, just made a career. After 2 years in service desk, I moved up for a round trip among the company, because IBM is a company that is an endless pond of opportunities, especially also for non-technical people, because we also have to always in back of mind that our customers pay our bills. And yeah, let's be honest, nobody else pays them. So, since 10 days, I'm back, and the circle is round where I started, but this time as a manager for the German Porsche team. And believe me, it was again a surprise, because I was very spoiled in IBM with my last position, but I like the dynamics of this environment.
Thank you. And Radim.
My background is law, so I'm a lawyer, and I came here because I was told to. But if I should say something about the university, then our university, out of Czech universities, has the highest amount of, or highest proportion of international students, highest number of international projects, and so we are considered like very progressive and very international oriented institution, and that's because we can't live out of our tradition, because our tradition is only about 100 years. Which is long if we speak other universities in this country, but speaking about Europe, then there are much older institutions, so that's why we try to be as open as possible and as internationally oriented as possible. And speaking on language and language skills and opportunities always arise from flaws. So the question is, where is the demand and where is the issues that we should look at? And I personally think that the fact that we have so broad language education agenda in all the schools, because every school has its own language unit, is the demonstration of a systemic flaw of our primary and secondary education system. Because I think that students should come with perfect knowledge of at least one foreign language, which today is English. In the past, it used to be like so, because the classic secondary education included Latin and Old Greek, which are not very practically useful at first sight, but in reality they are useful because if you want to learn any language, this is the basis that you can use. And I personally was educated in Latin and Old Greek, and I find it useful, practically useful. Well, in the past it was, of course, German and French. That was the second language, and the skills were there. Well, now we are getting students that come to the first year, and they do not have these language skills, so then we have to work on these language skills. But this is not what we should be doing at the university. We should be focusing on specific forms of use of language in a bit broader perspective. And I think we shouldn't teach just language. We should teach that specific features of language in that area where students are active. That's first thing. And second thing is skills that are linked with the language. Because what our students need and what our graduates need is the ability to work in international environment. And that's also like a cultural thing. And of course, language is the very core of it because you have to communicate with the others, and language is the primary tool that we use for communication. But at the same time, it's not just about whether you are able to say something, but what you are saying to the others. And we have it in academia, so it's about academic writing, but it's about also participating in international project consortia. And these are the skills that our graduates are getting only when they get to project consortia. And that was also my case, by learning by fault, so making terrible mistakes, cultural mistakes, very painful, and then learning from them. And it is also about working in international environment and international companies. And this is, I think, the opportunity.
Yeah.
Or, well, we can call it a flaw, or we can call it an opportunity.
Yeah. I think it was more than a background. You have outlined all the topics that we will discuss.
There are many bells ringing,
but we have all heard, and so these are the key words, these are the key issues we want to discuss. Yeah, Eva? So
exactly, absolutely. That spoke from my heart.
Yeah. First, a bit about you, and then we will go one thing after another one. Yeah.
Okay. When I seen the format of roundtables, I immediately knew I wanted to do one on this topic, because I find the cooperation between academia and the world out there so very important for students. And I'm very grateful that it's possible, since I teach at the IT faculty. I know at other faculties it might not be as easy perhaps, but for us it is easy, and I try to use every opportunity I can to make the things that students do or have to do meaningful, let's say. And for me, meaningful means applicable later. And that would be all the things that Radim already mentioned. All the skills connected, presentations, negotiations, other things. So this is where we cooperate with IBM, preparing students for, in a presentation course, for example, and then IBM provides the managers who give feedback, for example, and other things. And I'd like to say that I'm very happy that you could come, because all the other companies finally couldn't make it. So that's something that I wanted to mention before we start.
It says also a bit about the culture in these companies. We are allowed to make our own decisions often.
Okay.
Good to know. Okay, so out of all the things, I would skip the students when they come to university, that they should be expected to have certain basic knowledge, which they very often do not have, but rather often they have. So what are you have mentioned skills, communication skills, soft skills, cultural differences also, this is an important issue. So what do you have any experience like hiring new people? What do you expect from them? What do you look for? What you don't get where we the University Language Center language courses can help?
I want to amend something to Ratim's experience, because the one language we all speak and is used mostly as body language, and this is where communication starts, worldwide. I lived in several countries, not knowing the language, but I always got fed, I know you can see it, and I always had a place to sleep, because it is about how you present yourself, and we all know the hand and foot language to get something done when you're in the country. So I think that is actually the carrier, the catalysator for the speaking language, because facial expression and so on. And this is where you come into your international environment, you know. Like we had the classic languages, like you said, German and French, but now Chinese and Russian are the one that we should practice, or something like that, because globalization changes. But the body language always stays the same.
Yeah, but the various gestures may have different meanings.
You know,
the intercultural.
When I came here, when I came in Czech Republic, I give you a real example. And I entered the Monday morning tram. Nobody looked at me, but everyone knew I was there. It is a cultural thing, eh? Because it is not polite to look at someone. Now, if I want to have contact with you, I look at you in the eyes, and then I can even see if you look at me with your heart or just with your eyes. Yeah, because this is how you get communicated. And try it. If you meet someone and you smile without saying anything, 9 out of 10 smiles back. They have no clue why, but it is a reaction you have. And this is where you start sharing empathy, which opens heart and doors and many opportunities in any level. So, and it is the same with language. I think you do not have to be an academic to like literature, but the other way around also. As an academic, you can also like a comic book. It is like these traditional standards that should fade into each other.
Okay, so the starting point will be communication skills.
Or maybe we can start from the point that probably we do not need language and language teachers, but body language and body language teachers.
That's what I wanted to ask, whether it's
we have soft skill trainings, really, believe me. And now you can tell how our soft skill training was when we had Heather there.
Exactly, like we expect only, of course, during the already during the recruitment process, during the hiring, we expect some communication skills. On the other hand, we have internal programs for the soft skills as well, and 70%. This is I have to agree with Andre. This is funny thing, because in my department we provided the support over the phone. So it's remotely, we cannot see each other. So we would say the body language is not important, but even like that, we are extremely careful about intonation and everything. What we can hear. We can, for example, hear when the person is smiling when they are speaking. So we agree.
It is the empathy that you can put in your voice, the intonation, that is very important. And the funny thing is, not to tap myself on the shoulder, after I was there and I thought at a certain moment, the experienced agents make the most mistakes. Because they get so used in parroting each other and copying each other, that actually, maybe you can recall, I rewrote this entire soft skill training for experienced agents, and we didn't call it training, we just put all these people in a quiet room together, listen to each other's calls, and they were allowed to burn each other down in a nice way. Everyone was laughing. You made that mistake? Yeah, you copied it. Yeah, so that is to refresh and to be aware of what you're doing. And in an international environment, it's so good to make it yourself understandable to each other, but also respect the cultural differences. Yes, we all know how the Italians communicate, and that is very important. I think communication, by definition, in an international environment, has many shades.
Definitely. I would like to ask Eva. So you are working, you are teaching at the IT faculty. So do you teach also pronunciation, intonation that is needed here?
I try to teach body language as well. I try to teach eye contact, as you said. I hide it, of course, within the presentation skills, because you can present a topic or you can present yourself, right? I am an alien at the planet where I teach, logically, and I try to persuade the students that they are likely going to meet more aliens, and these might actually appreciate when they look at them, when they try to smile, when they try to be open in the communication, and sort of clear, but in a different way than fact clear, if you get me. And at the same time, I do like the target group I teach. I do like those students, and I like their way of thinking because I've learned a lot from them. But I'm trying to make it, you know, a mutual sort of learning situation, to have them understand that there are more things than the words. And I think that's what Radim already mentioned at the beginning. It's not about what exactly you say, but how you actually say it. No?
I think Faculty of Informatics is by far the hardest when it comes to communication skills. It took me, but because we have common projects at my institute and various institutes at the faculty, and it took me like 20 years to learn how to communicate with people who are from entirely different planets, and I'm still not there yet.
You can say nerds.
But that's not just about the language, of course. But I think we have this debate between employers, and IBM is a big employer, and it's important what you mentioned, that you have your own training program and what you do there. And for us, the debate is like, what should we teach? And what should be the skills? And permanently we are thinking, and it's not just languages, but languages as well. Like whether we teach more skills or something else. And there are two sorts of employers. So one sort, and it is mostly smaller businesses, they demand us to produce graduates that are able to go and earn money tomorrow. So, as we call it in Czech, to dig the coal the day after they leave the school. But then there are other employers, and I think IBM is one of them, who is rather saying, we can teach our own people these things, and we are more efficient, and they are, because the university is by far not the most efficient educator. But what we are efficient at, but there we do not think about efficiency that much, it is things that we teach, and that only we can teach them, and they can't be learned. And it's not about skills, it's about motivation, it's about ability to do something, ability to think, or to have some.
It sounds like sampling, you have to taste it.
Exactly. And this is what we get. My experience is from bigger law firms, and IBM obviously is not a law firm, but these bigger law firms, they have a training program, and they even tell us, do not teach the skills. We will teach the skills, those people who come to us, because we have a training program, and the person has to go through several stages, and every stage includes some training, and we are more efficient in it, and we are better than you as a university, but please teach them something that we can't teach them. And that is exactly these things like motivation, orientation, and these things. So I think that the debate, speaking about languages, is what should be taught at the level of the university, and where you are more efficient than us, because then it doesn't make sense that we try both to do the same thing, because I think that we are by far less efficient, and then it's just a waste of time when these people come and when they are trained the same things again at the employer, because there's a training that they have to take. It's not, there's no way to skip it, I think.
But in basic, we have the same purpose. It's all fruit, but you sell bananas and we sell coconuts.
Exactly.
So yeah, I like to use these metaphors. But since we have this, Irena is here now, since we have the intern program, isn't it an idea to have maybe third, fourth-year students to give a short-term 3-month period internship in our company to taste how it works for us, so we can learn from them, because they have the basics all there where we can learn, and you guys can learn the environment, even how the coffee tastes. So that is that is also something. Maybe it's just an idea that pops to my mind. So then we are really helping each other.
And we do have these internship programs, and I think that it's hugely beneficial for students. In law, we have internships that have to take at least like 3 months. But it differentiates greatly, because the students who go to these larger international enterprises, they have programs for them, and they show them, and then they learn something, and then they get motivation, they get the taste of coffee, and they get a taste of other things, and then they are motivated. While if they go to these smaller firms, like you have like 1 or 2 solicitors or something, and they have to go there, and they are like understood as a workforce, but they are not really able to do things from one day to another. So then they are making the office work, etc., and they get back, and they are demotivated, and they do not learn any skills. But these programs, yes, when they are with companies with like a systematic approach to skill teaching and education, then it can work. And we have it, and it's hugely
our internship is based on projects that relate to the work. So we have to offer them a project. We offer it to the internship team, and they offer it to universities or whatever institute at which level, and they say, is someone interested? So you have to take the ownership by definition before you enter the door already. And I think then you can say, you can try, you are, let's say, motivated to take on the challenge, and you are even allowed to say, sorry, this doesn't meet my expectations. Yeah, I want to be honest to you, to your mentor in IBM, and say, I want to learn more, but maybe this is not the direction I want to go to. And then you talk not just about languages or Eva's IT or whatever, because we are an IT company, but this is one big organic system. You see, we are not technical. So from leadership, economy, whatever you can say, it is there.
And when you get our interns from Faculty of Informatics, we have these cases. So these people, they grab their master thesis there, and then they get a supervisor from the company, and they get a supervisor from the university, and they work on some practical issue, and at the same time they go to the company. So what is your experience like in terms of language skills? Because we should be speaking primarily about language skills. So what is your experience?
But experience is part. What do you want to learn on top of your experience? And that is what it is about with interns. The first thing I learned in my almost 50 years career in business is never give an intern a broomstick to clean the warehouse. Never, because they should benefit from it and we should benefit from it. And that is the thing.
Management is what?
I wanted to make 2 points, like about the skills that the firms themselves, they've got the training programs, but maybe for them it's good to have the entrance level of the new people to be higher than lower, isn't it? Yeah, so this is what the university can help with. I mean, definitely it won't get into too specialized details, too specialized skills, but definitely it's good to raise the entrance level, isn't it? Yeah. So what is the expectations of the entrance language level, like of the people that you are recruiting?
So in my team, I'm hiring French and Italian speakers. The entry level is always B2, at least. At least.
So does it? Yeah, just. I suppose that they studied languages. Those are usually non-technical.
Depends. Sometimes we have people like for example myself in the past who were studying languages. Sometimes it may be people just learning languages from bilingual countries, but just traveling around. So not always only people who are focused on languages. And then what we expect also, or is a big advantage, let's say, is understanding of IT vocabulary. Definitely, this is big advantage. Understanding of business communication, also in the written part, not only in the spoken part. And
Do they need to know English as well, like apart from Italian and French? So this is compulsory, like
We are an American company that
yes,
works
yeah,
on
yeah,
it, yeah.
definitely. But yeah, what level? Yeah, so this means that they need
Sounds
to know
horrible.
like ideally 3 languages.
So I have to say English is a must.
Yes,
So without
yes.
English, it's not possible. It does not have to be really like a perfect level of the native speaker, but it must be fluent English. So English is a must. And second, third language is then the advantage and what we are looking for on top of this, because the English only usually is not enough.
And what about writing?
We have a lot of templates.
Yeah. So then you just complete it by adding a couple of words and it's done.
Yeah, no, but sometimes it needs a personal touch. Yeah, but yeah.
I see it especially in this world where we always communicate only on social medias, SMS and so on. The people are not using the
Full words of the
words and abbreviations,
Icons are
shortcuts.
handy. Yeah.
I also see that the written communication, the business communication, they are missing the basics. In fact, that if I write an email, I need to put the signature. I should write some subject there. I should know how in that specific language, in French or in English, I should know what is the greeting. How should I start the email? Because it's okay, it's fine in English to say hi. To practically to anyone, to director, to like we can. It's normally used in a business communication, but it's not okay in French to say, for example, "salut" at the beginning of the email.
And maybe
You see, it's happening here already. It's pane doctor, but yeah, we call him by his first name.
Yeah.
And that is the culture is also changing, so we have to be careful also.
Maybe we can ask Eva about her experience from the classroom about English, not suppose French or Italian, but.
Well, you spoke about writing and emails, and I don't want to maybe talk about my experience. We decided after several emails that we got, I mean, several like hundreds, that were unassigned, and the greetings were all sorts weird. Dear Mrs. Teacher being the very most popular. So we decided to teach students email writing rules in the first semester. And the students have to then write emails and peer review their emails. We hoped, our expectations were that in the second semester where we still teach them, we would get lovely emails. Not really. But I think they do improve that. They think about it a little bit more. But I think what Lucia said is so true. Even the students who've got very good level of English and probably any other language, they think they don't need English classes. They know everything, and they do know a lot, but they are used to communicate at social media or together online. And we, for example, this semester, we had to have online interviews with them for their exam. And I warned every single one that it's about how they speak. It's a language exam, and the better the language, the more points logically, so that they can sell everything they know. And actually what happened was that even the students with a good level didn't get an A, because they were all speaking very colloquially, pretty, that was pretty good, everything was pretty good. And you know, I was waiting for some adjectives or something that I could actually grade. It just didn't happen. I understand that it might be the environment as well, in an online means again, but in the classroom, it's very similar. If you try to give them the formal, I don't know, language examples, they laugh at you. Like, this is not used. That's what they tell me.
Less is more, Eva. And never, what I learned from experience, never use a word that you have in your vocabulary and you do not know how to pronounce it. Because it's like Scrabble on online, you know. It's what? it is difficult. And to give you an example about the different levels, as Stepanka said, we started at the first level. Yeah, so there is always room for any level. But when I come into a team where people work 7 years in IBM and the team is for 80% native Czech speakers, which is wonderful in technical area because all the details they are pronounced. But there was one lady that I would never rehire because of her level of English. Because it is not just, it is like the environment, like Rajin said, it is not just about the language or about the technical things. Then I ask always to my team, because like us, there are people that have different skills and different assets they do not use for the job. And I was lucky to find 2 English teachers that were studying here in my technical team, yeah? And I asked them to give both 30 minutes of conversation lessons, or not even lessons, conversation in the morning with these people. No grammar, nothing, just I gave them an assignment, watch the BBC News this morning and see if you understand what is going on there, if you can understand the English. Because not everyone knows that a bone china boat is from porcelain. They think it's a young from China. So it is also the understanding of the words. And this is like you said, you have to be careful. Less is more in many cases. And even the culture in communicating, we all know our summaries, our CVs. Every half year you try to make a summary and then it is, yeah, this is not the current style where we do it. And it's the same thing with your emails. Language is organic. It changes in the streets, at the corner of the streets. And all these revolutions, they start out there on the street. So we have to be constant aware and mindful about what is happening. And finally, you can have a nice mail, but if the message doesn't come through, you fail by definition.
Exactly, yeah.
But it shouldn't be also the other way around. If you have good message and it's terribly presented.
Yes,
Because I was asking about this writing thing, whether you are still using some of these standard written forms, like, I don't know, what memo, report, these things. Because in my area, in law, it still is happening that you have some standard formats and people are expected to deliver certain, and then it's about the language, about, I don't know, the length of sentences and about the composition and also how you start with it, etc. So I was just curious whether you use it or whether you just do everything in chat and these, like, using emote icons and these things.
What is the percentage? Give an estimate. We use a lot. We have now a new tool called Slack. We use globally. Yeah.
We are also using, now we are, the whole university is using Microsoft Teams, and you have there also this kind of chat thing. And there also, if in the Teams chat, if you write like, I don't know what, 50 lines, then it is inappropriate. And if you use certain type of language, then it's also inappropriate. There's also a kind of skill that probably people are expected to know. But I was asking whether if you get an intern, and if the person is to deliver something, if you just throw them something like writing a report, and then the person should know how a report should look like.
Yes, and otherwise, if the receiver, the audience doesn't get it, it could be a turning point in learning something new, or depends on which side you are, or the intern learns how to do it in a corporate environment globally. Because the guy in Japan also needs to understand from his cultural background. And that is the fun, that is the challenge. I'm still so passionate about these things because it is ongoing, and these young people, like we had the millennials and the hipsters now and whatever. It is so nice to find out what their way of thinking is and how their world looks like. Because we dinosaurs, they think, yeah, but that is not how it works. If you still want to be a leader and not become a manager, because this is one of my goals in IBM, yeah, then you should learn to understand what the need is of these people and facilitate them to unleash all their potential.
I'm resisting. Because in academia, we have these standard formats, and people are expected just to deliver in these formats. But this comes out of experience. Because we experience that this is the efficient way, so as a scientist, we want to say something, then we use these formats as the most efficient way that we know.
But is it a trap? Is it a trap also?
Changing.
It's a trap because maybe you use even words from before the First Republic.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you have mentioned a few times cultural differences, or that. So, do you have any experience or any where it is really important, or some?
From European point of view, we have also the Latin languages, like from the Mediterranean. We have the Nordic languages. With all their with how they. But it is more difficult for most of us, and it is not meant in a bad way to talk to people from Asia.
Is there any way how we language teachers can help, because intercultural skills are often included within language classes?
Should we teach Chinese English, and because we're also not speaking English or American English, we're speaking Czech English and German English, and that's this European Union English sort of a thing that we are using. Everybody's understanding, although some of the words are utterly
everyone making the same jokes about it.
So should we teach like? Yeah, should a part of a course be like, that would be played, like a sample of various forms of English, and I would try to get what these people are saying.
It is the experience of the receiver, you know. I come from Holland, I was born in Amsterdam, but when I speak to, for instance, a Flemish speaker, the lady speaks so charming, really, with the soft G. And nobody else can understand unless you're Dutch or Belgium, you know. And it is if you speak Schweizerdeutsch, that is different. And obviously in France, if you go from Brittany to the south, oh my God! I lived in Scotland. I could really, at a certain moment, I felt like the doctor from Eliza Doolittle. You know, you can understand if the guy comes from the north, or from Scotland, or from Ireland, or from Wales. But we should leave it there, and then ask. We should be patient and ask. I really did not understand what you meant. Can you send it to me in a mail? Because written English is everywhere the same, you know, from that basics. So can you confirm it? Then I have it documented. So your justification is working both ways. You have it documented, and you do not offend the person. But sometimes it is difficult.
No,
It's a good tip.
I agree. Different types of accents, for example, it's very difficult because we learned the language at school. We know the language which our teacher was speaking. So this is the correct one, the one which is written in the dictionary, that one. But then in the real life, when we need to communicate with people, Spain people speaking English and French people speaking English, and now there it becomes difficult, and not only for English, for other languages as well, to really understand when there is slightly different intonation and accent.
Stepan, we have a question.
I have a question. I can't see it.
Chat, shall I read it?
Yeah, please do. Yeah. Oh, yeah, and I can see it on the. You have mentioned how important culture is when working in an international environment. Would international business, or IBM specifically, consider looking for intercultural competence training at language centers? So this is aimed whether. Yeah. So, do you have your own training? As I understand it, is. Sorry, Evie?
I'm not sure if it means that IBM would want language centers to teach intercultural competence. If that's the question.
Yeah, probably. I would reword it in this way. Yeah.
I think we have the person online, so maybe they could specify the question.
Yeah, sure. I think Michaela Carriera, University of Groningen Language Center. We've been, and I teach intercultural competence specifically. I've been doing so for a number of years. But often the external clients that we encounter come to us specifically looking for languages and not aware that that intercultural competence might be something that's worth addressing outside of the language classroom as well, to such an extent that we've thought about what happens if we change our name to the Center for Language and Culture to make that more explicit. I was just wondering, with these three people here sitting around the round table, would this be something that you would consider approaching a language center for, or do you have different sources for that?
You mean in general or for Groningen? Because I know IBM has an office in Groningen, and especially from the uni in Groningen, is I think more international companies are working there, like UPC, Ziggo, and I think in general it should be at least tried by pilots, just pilot to see and to find out. You know, in Groningen, I don't know if you are from Groningen, but Groningen in Holland is already a separate area where they speak their own slang, you know, their own language. So I worked there 2.5 years, so I'm an intercultural subject there. So, but in general, I think the University of Groningen, if they can offer at least a pilot and they start fishing in the pond that is in their own region, I think why not? And then share this with international companies to offer them the option. So we can let's say spread it globally.
I think our question was not so much specifically for IBM in Groningen, but more in general. Do language centers have the reputation as being a place where one can also find intercultural training? I know Groningen has the reputation of, on the one hand, being a very, very international university. On the other hand, in the Netherlands, especially to Dutch people, it's considered a little bit of a backwater.
Yeah, but Dutch people complain about everything, you know that.
As someone who has lived most of my life in Asia, I found it quite striking how that is so. But still, the question is more generic. Are language centers considered possible places where there would be also intercultural expertise to be found for something like IBM, but it could be other organizations as far as I'm concerned?
I don't think it is happening yet. Maybe it is latent there, you know, somewhere, and it is a seed that is planted, and maybe it needs nursing. But sitting here in this university, working on, let's say, be more future-proof by definition, because we are globalizing in many areas, I think, yeah, it should be put on the agenda. But from which angle, I cannot say. I am not authorized from IBM, and I'm not seeking for an excuse, but I can plan it with my colleague here who was running the internship, and maybe from their point of view, they can say, talk to their colleagues who are doing the education in our company and say maybe it is a good idea to put on the table and discuss it. Mm-hmm. It starts with one step, no matter what journey you take. I think it's a very good question, because we bump into these things, and locally it is done by small departments, and it is also in a corporate environment, how mindful is the manager that works with different cultures?
But then I think the question is, which cultures to include, or what kind of international culture to implement. In the Netherlands, you have long experience with this intercultural relations, and I remember that the Dutch judges there are trained in some differences and in how minorities should be approached, because they have some specific features. But I think that what we should rather focus on, because it would be difficult to choose, like should we go more towards, I don't know, like Asian or whatever.
It's an evolution. South American. It's an evolution of ideas.
But I think what we can achieve at the language centers is this cultural training in being a member of international community. Because there is existing something like international community. You have it in international companies. And there's
being a member. I'm sorry, Radim. You said being a member of international
community.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a nice phrase.
In academia, it works. In corporate, it works. There are some, and I think it is a kind of community on its own. And that's the same with language. I think that's about English, because it is not really American or English. And now with Brexit, we have big opportunity because Great Britain has left the European Union, and now we will still be using English, but we can take it and we can do whatever we want with it, as long as it will not be owned by any nation anymore.
Yeah, that's true, but as long as we do it, they still think rule Britannia, Britannia rules the waves. And this is a big perception if you speak to native people that are hardly coming from their island. Yeah,
that's true.
So, but that is also a cultural thing. They are so proud that that is also something good. So.
I think we have a question there.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on maybe the intercultural communication training. It's not about the nation that we take into the classes with us, or the the international level, Chinese, Asian, whatever. It's more about the cultural aspects that we can discuss and we can make our students think about. And of course, it's easier when the classes are international, when we bring in other students and everything. But even with as homogeneous class as we get here, classes, sometimes we still can talk and critically think about things like gender, age, body language, etc. And because internet is, an immense source of resource of videos and texts and everything, we can work with that and to make them realize that what they get in a monocultural environment is not what they would get in an international, multicultural environment. It's a simulation only, understand that, but at universities we are limited by
But we all are, because we are chasing utopia, which doesn't exist. Yes, that is it. But like you said, social media and internet is a good catalyst to make things. You see how many things get exposed nowadays about abuse, about all these organizations, and sometimes for some people it is not a topic but a religion, but like the Me Too and so on. Yeah, and it is also with languages and cultural backgrounds, and we have to be. This is why I like a bit more the mindset thing, being more mindful about what you're doing and what you're saying. But we all make mistakes, and we should not be hypocrites about that. Yeah, we are so used to discriminate in our normal daily language, which now someone taps you on the shoulder and says, "Hey, this is not appropriate." Yeah. So if we talk about diversity, I have an example from last week when we had a meeting and some of the leaders said there, yeah, we are more doing in diversity and we have a nice offer for a job, so it is not for me, I'm a white man and whatever, yeah? And then some of the people responded like, you cannot say that, it is discrimination. Now, if you use it from the other side, the guy is aware that that is not the standard anymore. So it is just how your perception is of. And maybe the person that responded was affected himself, yeah, by, okay, well, you cannot say that. In my past, I have this scratch on my soul, so, yeah, it is an ongoing thing, and university should be a hub, because you are the guys that rule the world for the future. Yeah?
Because it's done through languages.
Yes, and this is where we should give you feedback from our backgrounds.
Yeah.
And not just from us, it's a pity that we are just here, but it should also be some kind of international insurance company or whatever, or the legal guys. Yeah.
One more question was there?
There was one more question
from the
audience.
I have a question for a long time. Now all of these legendary times, they are changing, right? And very intensively. We keep talking about teaching language. Yeah, but shouldn't we stop thinking this way and think that, because students are not products with being stuffed them with something and send them to your companies. So my question is there a problem the students or the people, you mentioned a lady with really, I don't know, one of you, with weaker knowledge of English. Is there a problem for her to make progress on her own within a year or two? Shouldn't we teach the students strategies to become autonomous learners? Or do you have an experience with your employees that they make a progress in front of your eyes? Or are they equipped with, techniques, strategies, tools, I don't know, whatever methods and so on, how to actually take it in their own hands? Because like teaching, we cannot teach a language within a lesson, which is, 2 hours a week or something, and we see the students for 2 or 3 years. Yeah, so that makes sense.
It's a small step in their life, but what we do, especially, well, I can only speak for myself when it comes to these things. I'm a facilitating manager. I talk to my people, please, what do you need? What do you want? I give them the menu and they can choose. Yeah, and it is not everyday potatoes and vegetables. So I do not want my people to feel every morning is like a Monday morning. They need to have triggers, but that meets their needs. And if I can put these needs in balance with the company's needs, then it would be a perfect situation. And it is not always like that. You have demotivated people and so on. And I tell my people also, if you have a bad hair day and you feel really bad, bake a cake if you feel guilty for the team for the next day. But still the team will compensate. And it is the same with development and knowledge, and like we grew also from, you were just graduated, we just grew in this environment, and believe me, the thing in IBM is if you survive help desk, you're a hero and you are resilient to every job in the life in the future. So yeah.
Maybe there was.
I would call it like not only teaching, but rather.
No,
It is experiencing.
I just didn't get the question.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, the people who are virtual, they didn't hear the question properly. So just to summarize, was that what we should teach is, in fact, it is connected to what Radim said, the strategies, how to improve, being autonomous, that there is no way how we can really teach the language as such, but the students
Isolated.
should get isolated. Yeah, the students should get the strategies and the motivation
As
and
part of
everything.
their development,
Part of
yes.
their development,
Yeah.
yes.
Right. Right. Thank you.
It is not just the languages in IT. Many people think that the School of Informatics, they teach programming, but they don't. They teach mathematics, theory, etc. And the students, they learn programming on their own. And this is assumed, and that is reality. So this should be very similar with language. Of course you can't learn language by having it like, I don't know,
C++ is also a language. C++ is also a language. So.
There are final 5 minutes. So is there anything else that the language classes center can help your future employees with? That you would be happy to?
No, I want them to be happy.
You want them to be happy. Okay, yeah, that's
exactly
the well-being of
Yes.
students and Radim is done.
Okay,
They would be happy if they don't do anything, so we shouldn't conclude.
Exactly.
no, that means they do not have a trigger, and that is the perception. By definition, I think a lot of people like to relax, yeah? But you get so much satisfaction out of achieving something that you really like, and it is not tax related, yeah? so you don't pay tax over it. The investment is in yourself, and it is another challenge to go further. And let's be honest, diversity means that we are all different, we are all unique, yeah? But marketing, there we come to business again, marketing says all things for all people does not exist, only breathing. Everyone has different needs. And like I said, sometimes you get touched by people you meet on the bus stop for 10 seconds. And they affect, and sometimes you know someone for 30 years and you're like, what is this guy contributing to my life? It's only a pain in the butt. Yeah?
So. Back to the contribution of the language classes.
From my perception and from my experience, it's a practice to really, I learned a lot during my studies. However, I need to say that it was in IBM that I learned to think in that language. And I believe that but it's also the environment, the multicultural environment, where we do not have the possibility to use our native language, but really like only by practice from morning till evening, we learn to think in that language, and that was what also helped me.
Andre was nodding to something, but
yeah, because I think no, I'm fully agree with her about the Czech language. It is also about, can we do it in Czech? It's just a question. Yeah, like I have people from Germany. Do you speak German? Yes. Can we do it in German? Yes. Why not? Yeah, because it gives me an opportunity to practice, like she says. On the other hand, every student that learns a language, and I do not expel anyone, should go for at least 4 seasons in the country where they speak the language to get adapted to the situation. You have to learn to know the cursing. You have to learn to know the odd words they use for communicating. And that is important. Taste it, like Radim said.
Yeah.
You have to taste what it is about. This is what language, because you consume not the language, but also the culture.
Okay, Eva, I will ask you, because you really, I know that you appreciate the cooperation with IBM, isn't it so? So could you add anything there that's...
Anything that? Sorry.
Sorry, no, could you add anything there? Full stop.
Just thank you very much for coming, for expressing your opinions. I think we saw what the directions of each party is, and I'm glad to hear that it's somewhere where we thought it was. So it was reassuring for me.
Okay.
Turn it into practice.
Yes, I need, yeah, I've got lots of ideas in my notebook, and we'll follow them.
They cost money, I just told Radim, so you need a bigger budget.
Oh, yeah. And thank you, Radim, also for participating. I think it was a very useful perspective that you gave.
Now I should say something nice.
So you can see that I persuaded you.
Seriously, it's not difficult. Like, as a university, we're happy that we have companies here like the IBM, because they create a situation that for our students, being a member of international community in a company like this is a valid option. They see that this is possible. This is what we suffered heavily. And I was educated in the communist times, and I was pushed by my mother to play football because that was the only way how we could get out from the country. Mm-hmm. And so I have a bit different way of thinking about these international relations. But still, I think even now, when it is possible to travel and to take part of various things abroad, we still should remind ourselves that it is important to teach students that it is an option for them to go for something international, that they do not have to stay here and just duck into something very Czech and very local and using it as an excuse, like I'm doing Czech law or I'm doing Czech, whatever, nuclear science. There is no such thing as Czech law and Czech nuclear science. So having you here gives this strong motivation for the people to know that this is like a valid option.
And if there is ever an option in the future, our internships could be, it's the same with the global IBMers. They need interns everywhere in the globe. So, and that is just, like again, plant the seed, start talking to people, and we have some high-end, high performers here on education, but they need also a higher environment to keep it challenging for them. Yeah, so why not?
Okay,
Yeah, sorry.
Fine. We have thanks from the audience. Thanks you, everybody. This has been really interesting. So thank you for coming, Lucie, Andre, Radim, Eva. Thank you for organizing it.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Bye, Eva.
Bye.
Well, I think that it shows, it's clear that we could go on with the discussion for hours. It's only a proof of how inspiring the roundtable was. So I would like to thank all the participants once again. I feel privileged and happy and excited that I had an opportunity to be with you today at this time. So I'm sure during the breaks in the evening we can go on discussing the topics and the inspiration and the food for thought that we got from this roundtable session today. Thank you very much, everybody.
And nothing is left out for discussion.